Welcome to Vlog Thursday number 456. 456. I am at GrrCON. This is what every year they change it up. This year, this is what the badges look like. There's two of them on here because this is my entry badge, and this is an upgrade I pay for to have the VIP badge. And I guess they're not really badges; they're 3D printed cool things that I will add to my collection. This is a hacking conference in Grand Rapids, so I won't be on here too long, and I'd have to apologize up front that, yeah, the lighting here is absolutely atrocious. I got no fix for that. I didn't bring lights with me. Normally, hotel rooms are at least a little bit brighter, but I mean, I think we got a 40-watt equivalent bulb going on over here. It's disappointing. So hopefully no one's here for my looks. But I will answer some questions, do some Q&A. I'm going to turn the AC down. Or more specifically, off. There we go. Turning it off because it's rather loud. I don't know how much it's bleeding through, but my guess is probably a lot. It's loud to me. It's probably loud to you. It's one of those features of hotel rooms is poor noise isolation. It is what it is. Nonetheless, a couple topics here. I just did my UniFi VPN video, which there's always some confusing questions that people ask, and I think it's reminding me, and I should probably do a more in-depth video on routing. The questions that people ask are seemingly because they have a harder time. Oh, you don't hear the AC. Well, then I will turn it back on. If no one's complaining about AC noise, just confirm again that you still don't hear it. It's still on because it's, going through a cycle right now. If you're not hearing it, awesome. Greetings from Seattle. Awesome. Your wife showed up for the looks and then noped out because lighting's bad. Fair. I'd nope out too. All right, let me turn it back to cool just so I don't run out of AC. There we go. All right, that's fixed. The microphones are really good on this MacBook Air. But I had a routing problem. That's kind of what I was thinking as well. Is let's do a video about routing coming up because I had a really weird, and I think it's because I run 3 different VPNs on my Mac. I don't use them all at the same time. That would not be a great idea. But while I was playing with them, it did make me think that, yeah, I should probably do a video and get people to better understand routing, because when I was going back and forth between VPNs and Netbird wasn't working is what I was confused about. I didn't know why it wasn't working. It turns out the Docker container I have Netbird running in didn't have, it had restarted during a backup, and it didn't have restart unless stopped in the Docker. Oversight when I set it up. So it was not running. But when I shut down Docker or shut down Netbird and I had Tailscale open, I found out even though one was off, the other one's routes were there too. So the MacBook got really confused. Matter of fact, I'm going to see if I can repeat the problem. I don't think it was Netbird because the Tailscale routes were there as well. So I was testing out Tailscale, testing out Netbird. But when something's not working, I mean, obviously rebooting is an easy way to fix stuff, but it was kind of weird. I'm just a little bit less familiar with Mac. I'm sure there's some command I could have typed on my Mac to restart the networking stack and clear all the routes, but the routes and tunnels were just kind of stuck there until I rebooted. Reboot, problem went away, so whatever. But it kind of comes back to the topic in general of subnetting and routing and VPNs and some of the questions people ask, and I realize there's usually that's where the challenge is they're not always grasping how all that works. I also thought about doing a video on, like, when I'm setting things up that I do for demos or proof of concepts or videos. There's a lab video I had of how I built my lab, and then I should probably show like me using the lab so people can understand like practical lab usage. why there's a bunch of switches and stuff and how those tie all together, and how it's arbitrarily easy to make a mistake when screw something up. But when you're not making mistakes and screwing things up, it's actually not that bad in terms of like easily switching things around. So I will probably, I was seeing like some of the longer form videos I want to do, and those ones are probably ones that'll be popular again. Routing, one of those things is so incredibly simple, but almost impossible to configure and make work. Yeah. What's weird is I have this issue on my MacBook Air too, and had to reboot. Seen it a couple times at random. Yeah, I can't make it happen again. I don't know what causes it to happen, but whatever, it happened. Rebooting fixed it and made it happy again. Kind of odd like that. But I also, I'm at a hacker conference, I got to talk to lots of my security friends. I'm trying to put together a little bit of a video that I'm trying to, finding the clues has been a little bit challenging, but I got more of them. And I simply say things like TP-Link has done a bad job of security. The information is kind of all over the place on this. And generally speaking, I don't understand why so many people have been complaining about me not doing TP-Link videos. And I keep hearing people suggesting it, but I'm like, TP-Link's not a company that's known for any type of good security. And it seems to be not getting better since they become a CNA and do their own vulnerability management. So I've been stitching together kind of how that works to try and make a video about it, just kind of show as I do with other companies. Now it's trickier because TP-Link's such a big company and there's just not a lot of info. And it's also, when a company's your own CNA, turns out it's hard to get people that have to come forward and be like, oh yeah, I've been fighting with them for a while to get them to submit this CVE and they're just ignoring me. So it's kind of a challenge figuring out just how bad they are in a very tangible way. What software do you use to map your Homelab? I use draw.io for all my mapping. And if you look at my draw.io videos, there's also my GitHub. I have a bunch of templates in my GitHub as well. It's funny, David Bombal he actually shared my post on one of his hacks, but I thought David Bombal's a nice guy. I like him. I've done talk with him before, but I thought it was funny when he shared my LinkedIn post about SonicWall and some of the SonicWall shenanigans that were going on. SonicWall's had some dumb breaches lately. It turns out SonicWall, there's a discussion in my forums about it, but we were talking about how SonicWall chose not to fully encrypt the cloud backups they do. So that's dumb and obviously doesn't lead to good outcomes. What are you going to do? Get companies to behave securely? Oh, someone may find this funny. If I can find the photo. There we go. I'll share this out. I should share this on share this one on LinkedIn too. Share screen. I've made fun of Fortinet and I went and talked to those guys today. So that was entertaining. Yeah, Fortinet is the sales guys were cool about it. I had a good interaction with them in the booth, but I don't know. I was just amused because Fortinet has had some really bad, egregious security problems that were their own fault. I mean, their web application firewall. So web application firewalls, WAF, as they're often referred to as, sit in front of your web server and protect your web server. Welcome to Fortinet, where we have a WAF product that claims to protect you from all kinds of threats, but also has a bunch of flaws in it and became the source of exploit for many people. And it was a terrible, when they reverse engineered it, it was just so bad. You're just like, why is this so terrible? Why did you guys build it this way? Why are you running MySQL as root? It's just, and I was actually laughing and joking with the Fortinet guys. They're like, yeah, we're salespeople, whatever, not our problem. So we just sell it. Engineers got to fix that stuff. Product, we have a big product base. We have products with flaws. Is what it is. But nonetheless, back to the topics of the VPN and routing. I also should probably do a video showing, because anytime I talked about UniFi previously, it was about all the things you couldn't do with their VPN because it just wasn't a feature. UniFi now has WireGuard, OpenVPN. It does not have it in the same way that pfSense, so there's still nuance to it. You can't do things in the same diverse way with UniFi that you can with pfSense, but that's where the talking points are. So they all have the box check that we have OpenVPN, but explaining that is probably better, so people can better understand the product, better understand what they're looking at, and making sure it fits their needs. Yeah, the UniFi WireGuard deployment is pretty simple. I don't know that I love, because I should say I have 4 VPNs, because I was also testing UniFi Teleport. Whenever I travel, it's an opportunity when I'm got a little bit of free time, like, cool, I'm remote. Let's play with all the VPNs. And a magic seat feels, yeah, that is a cool feature. This site magic stuff, I definitely think that's great. Big fan. They're just doing some really neat stuff over Ubiquiti, and they're catching up with a lot of the big companies, and are doing it in a way that is game changing. And by the way, Wendell just dropped a good video today on their new ECS aggregation switch. So go ahead and check that video out if you haven't. Wendell from Level 1 Techs. But yeah, definitely interesting take on it. And I agree with what he says in that video, where UniFi is still a good option. It's not without its flaws. And I actually have a client with a bunch of these, and I'm going to be probably reviewing and sharing my thoughts on there. These are bought. These are not ones that UniFi sent me or anything. We have a client that bought some of them, and it's been painful. But I want to talk about that pain. And I know people will go, but Tom, why didn't you just go with Arista? And I'm like, we did for another client. And that's kind of where the comparison is. And Wendell makes the same debate, where, sure, absolutely, the Arista works great. UniFi wants, I think, $4,000 for the switch. Arista wants $27,000 for the switch. So here's a switch for substantially less that does most of the things. It still has some flaws, definitely getting better. The latest firmware improved a lot of things. But I know, and someone is right. Wendell says to be in a video like enterprise, and I get it. Sticking the name enterprise doesn't make it enterprise. But on the other side of that, if you have a need for 25 gig switching and you don't have a $27,000 budget, it actually does that. So it's meeting the market where it's at and slowly climbing the ladder. I think Ubiquiti, as they get into and learn lessons, because it's based on Sonic OS, they will get better at it. And sometimes lessons are hard learned. This switch has been around for a minute. It's slowly getting debugged. But then again, once it is, they aren't increasing the price. They're fixing it and getting it better through iterative updates of firmware. And now you have a switch that is way less than anything else on the market. And I think that's a good thing, especially if it puts it in the hands of more people who want high-speed switching in their own network, where they don't want to spend $27,000 on an Arista switch. By the way, you can set up multiple Proton VPNs by changing the DNS increments of 1. I saw you mention that video. You can, yeah, you can set up multiple Protons. Oh, I'm not understanding the DNS part of it, but I have two Protons and 1 PIA VPN, so you can set up multiple ones. Yes. Hey, Tom, love the channel for TrueNAS over IPsec VPN. What file sharing protocol do you find to be the best? SMB in NFS are not designed for that. Sorry, there's no file sharing protocols were not designed. They're chatty. They have a lot of back and forth. They're not designed. I have a video on that specific topic showing when you add just small amounts of latency, how terrible SMB is. There's not a file sharing protocol that's designed for VPN. That's the challenge. I mean, you use like a web file manager to transfer files because it's going to transfer them over, HTTPS. So that's like another way to do it. Synchronization tools is one of the reasons I use SyncThing to keep my files in sync between this laptop, my other laptop, my desktop, and anywhere else I want my files, is because I'm remote right now. But I have all my notes available. I have all my text files and little things I want are all local to this computer right now, and they're synchronized as they change in real time. I watch my SyncThing real-time backup video to understand how I do that, but that's why I do it, because you're dealing with latency. You're dealing with sending files across the internet. They never send great. They're at the mercy of, in my case, hotel Wi-Fi. But I need my files here now, not when the hotel Wi-Fi was working, or because I'm at a hacking conference, I'm on a mobile hotspot. And it turns out there's a lot of people here, and the mobile hotspot was not fast today. But my files and my notes I take, which are all done in LogSeq, which synchronizes as text files, no worries. Whenever the internet got fast again, they all synchronized and everyone's happy. Secure, stable, and no annoying licensing requirements. Yeah, that's a whole ball of wax. Every company's doubling down on more licensing, more restrictions. We own you, you don't own the hardware. If you notice, I got my EFF shirt on, and this is a discussion that I believe fully. You own it, you own it. I do what I want with the hardware I want. I should be able to just use it. And that is not the belief of many of these companies. They are not pro user, they're pro lock-in. Matter of fact, they're so locked in now, I imagine the future looks bleak for people who want enterprise hardware that's all tied to licensing that doesn't turn on anymore once it's done. Like once it's like, hey, we're in the data center and it's not fast enough for the data center, but it's probably fast enough for many of you, and it's probably great for Homelab use, except the license expired with the contract, therefore no one gets to use it. What features would you say enterprise needs before enterprise can move over for something like OpenSense at the gateway? Hard to say. It depends on each use case. I mean, some enterprises need. It usually comes down to like some of the traffic management stuff. And when you're comparing it to OpenSense or pfSense, there's like BGP and FRR. The FRR package in, I believe, OpenSense, I know it's in pfSense, that gives you a lot more options for advanced routing. That is, I don't think it's quite there in UniFi, but I also don't do much BGP with UniFi. So I've not really tested it. And we have very few people using any BGP with pfSense. Not zero, but not a lot. Will self-encrypting hard drive work on TrueNAS? I believe you can still specify the encryption on the drives in TrueNAS. I don't use that feature. Because I use a ZFS encryption, so I don't want to have the drives handling that. But I believe you can set that up. What's your take on technological singularity? I don't know what that means. So that's my take on it. I've heard the term. I've never really thought deeply about it. I probably need a better context. I have TrueNAS peer-to-peer backup with a X550T2 and separate subnets for main board NICs. They refuse to acknowledge each other in replication ideas. TrueNAS peer-to-peer backup. I don't know. I don't understand the question. Like TrueNAS you can't ping them. You can't. Are you trying to plug them in directly, connect in? I'm missing a lot of context. Feel free to do a forum post in forums.lawrencesystems.com. Had a ransomware attack recently. Tried to roll back snapshot on TrueNAS and it failed. Could you do an updated video on snapshots? Well, my old video is accurate, so I could do an updated one. It would be exactly like the old one. I don't think I'd have to look to see if the menus have changed much. So I don't know what you did to cause it to fail, because snapshots work. They're not a broken. They're a very core function of TrueNAS. So without knowing even what error message you're getting, there's no way for me to even speculate why it's not working for you. Does UniFi work with IDP like Authentic? I don't know. They have. I got to dig deeper into that, because they do have, via their identity, you can use JumpCloud, Azure, or Entra ID, and Google are all in there with LDAP in there. So they don't have any native Authentic support. And that's sometimes like the VPN. I don't know where their VPN, that's like, we build out pfSense VPNs to connect with third-party authentication. There's support in there for some of that, but UniFi doesn't have as much of that, I think. I don't know where it's at. I think they're improving it, but honestly, I tell people, go overlay VPN. Like, if you want to do something good with VPN, why involve the firewall? At some point, look at doing a good zero trust solution with NetBird, which does support Authentic. So if you could greenfield something and you get to put in what you want, NetBird works great. That's what I use. My reason for NetBird not working had nothing to do with functional problems with NetBird. Tom forgot to put restart unless stopped, and had rebooted the Docker thing that had NetBird in it. So I had to use another VPN to get in to start NetBird to get NetBird working again. You guys are done already?
We're done. Downstairs and you have drinks at the bar.
Oh, okay. I'm on my live stream. All right, I'll come down there in a minute. Thank you for all that, Wendell, Jeff, and others. I instruct vision impaired on CAPTIA. Woo.
I like you.
A+ Emerick's and refer to your reviews. That is awesome. Good to hear that. I can't figure out how UniFi makes money with their Protect products when they don't charge a subscription for reviewing. I use it, love it, but it does continue to cost more time. They aren't handling the traffic. It doesn't pass through them. It passes through UDP hole punching. So because it's bridging the connections, it's not as expensive as you think. It's not like them handling all the traffic. Did a snapshot backup on TrueNAS 2 weeks ago. Your video is spot on. Awesome. My Docker VM got partially corrupted. UPS battery died before I could get anything shut down. A few containers won't mount. Overlay 2 issues. Schedule snapshots. Yes. Backups. One of the things I do, because it happens at 2 a.m. and I don't care, I tell the backup to shut down all my Docker host, which shuts down all the containers within it. It does a backup of it and then brings it back up. So I always have a absolute, clean copy with several revisions back of my Docker. It's just how I handle it to make sure I don't worry about it. Your VPN updates regarding zone policy firewalls is great. Been doing it since last run beta. Room for improvement. But doing awesome and simple. Great. What are your thoughts on self-hosted Nextcloud as a replacement for Microsoft Google Workspace? I don't think it's great because I don't, and maybe it's getting better. I got to dig into it some more. It's been terrible on TrueNAS. And last time I made this call out, someone said something silly. I talked about the bugs with updates, and their update process was like so much different. Like the average business, what they end up doing is leaving it exposed, ending up with an entire disaster because they just don't update it, and it's insecure. Then they get pwned, and then they call someone like us. How do I know? This is a cycle I've went through several times, where old instance of Nextcloud. And why was it old? Well, every time we updated it, exploded. So we rolled it back to the previous version, and eventually there was a flaw in it. So it's not, yeah, honestly, it's not that expensive. The business expenses for just running Google Docs is not that high. So it's kind of a threshold. It for now, at least. I mean, who knows what the future holds? Using things in Google Docs or even some of the Microsoft stuff is less expensive because of the maintenance. I know Nextcloud is free, but it's the maintenance. And by the way, it's not too bad because if you did Nextcloud's hosting, I don't think you're in as bad a spot. So if you're looking at it from Nextcloud's hosting, it's the maintenance of it that really needs to be considered. Have you worked with your sponsor media equipment? Do they rebrand other vendors' equipment, or are they really making their own networking system? Best I can tell, it's their own. I do have some of their equipment. They are sponsored, full disclosure. I wanted to play with their equipment. It's fine. It works. It's targeted at the enterprise market. It seems nothing about it is that I can tell is anybody else's. It's well made, well packaged. So no complaints at all about it. I don't know that it's worthy, or I'll do a dedicated review because it's not something I'm using. I don't know. But I'll say that too. Even though I'm not saying it because they're a sponsor, I'm saying it because I took a look at their hardware. I plugged it all in. I created some VLANs. I created some SSIDs, and I looked at all the hardware. And it doesn't line up to that I could find anybody else's hardware. But maybe if I post some pictures, some cyber sleuths will go, Tom, that is actually made by Bob's Computers in China. And I don't know, but it doesn't to me look like anything else. But the bottom line of why you would choose something like Meter is it comes with warranty. It comes with their support. It comes with like full everything, kind of like a white glove service. That's kind of their thing they're doing, which is cool. I mean, if some people like, hey, I don't want to deal with anything. I don't want to watch Wendell's video on how he saved money on stuff and had a bunch of bugs to deal with. You know, the people go, I just want something that you plug it in and it works. So I have a question. I turned on content filtering in my USG fiber and suddenly pinging from if your system gets overloaded, it can cause a slowdown when you're doing the content filtering. So it shouldn't increase that much, but it can be because it puts more load on the system. I don't really understand why you would want to integrate Authentic into your UniFi Dream Machine, but I'm going to do some videos on authentication. So I have a lot of thoughts on it. I think it's fun to play with, but I think a lot of people are trying to tie it to the wrong things. With the UNAS's new caching drives, do you think it'll be a solid base to move from MDM ButterFS to ZFS for way more features and integrity? No, it's going to be based on MDM and ButterFS. They're not changing that. Do you have any experience with open source switch operating systems, or is there one you recommend over the other? Not really. Sonic OS is out there. Vios can be used as a switch, but I have no experience with them. They're not really, they're focused on niche enterprise. There's something you can learn and play with, but they're not necessarily something, it's novel, but I'm not doing any videos on it is what I would say. I haven't seen any time for that. So yeah. Hole punching is awesome, and it seems like it all fits in. Yes, hole punching is awesome. I should just do a video on UDP hole punching because it's I love it. I think this is neat. Like it's just fun how it works. Your Docker video is fantastic. Do you use bind mounts for all the containers you spin up? Yes, all my containers have bind mounts. Hey, great to meet you in Wilmington. Yes, Brian. It was great meeting a lot of people. I like that. And like right now I'm at GrrCON, and I really enjoy meeting people in person. So if you see me somewhere, say hi, reach out. I'm not a hard person. I reply to my emails. So if you vlog Thursday at lawrencesystems.com, you will hear from me. I have almost 30 terabytes in Nextcloud. The maintenance and auto update scripts were better in V25 than it is in V29. So someone's saying, yeah, there's still some bugs in it. You know what? Actually, email me. The vlog Thursday one. What you can figure out my email or figure out a way to message me. I'm even on Signal. You can find that on my website. But give me your thoughts on this, because I'd like to talk to you about it. I like to talk to someone who's actually using, and 30 terabytes sounds like actually using Nextcloud. I'm truly interested because I just don't use it enough. I don't really do much with documents anymore, like my clients do. But Tom doesn't have a lot of documents. Most of my documents, even for like CNWR, for better or worse, uses SharePoint, but also a lot of their documents live in their documentation system. So we're not sticking it all in just a standard file share. So I'm truly interested in people who are using it. Let me know your experiences with Nextcloud. Do I have a preferred hosted service to organize your books? Calibri, I think I need to set it back up. I broke a lot of things, completely a me problem. I need to organize all my books. Calibri is what I was using, and then a lot of things happened. So I need to set it back up and organize my books again. Similar to the guy with UCG fiber and UniFi, had issue running out of compute on the Dream Machine when you protect with some IDS, now VPN clients on the Dream Machine. I haven't had any problems with it, but I really want to do this. I have a friend that's got some testing stuff they're doing, and I want to dig into what they're doing so I want to better understand how to load test something so I can simulate thousands of connections. And there's some tools for doing that, but I need to find one that's better and a little less complicated. Has anyone had UniFi site-to-site negatively impact bandwidth of internet traffic? Turned on my house as they spoke, and a few fibers were cut in half. Well, if you're trying to route all the traffic, then you're likely to have a problem. So it depends on how you're doing the routing. If you're trying to route everything, like full tunnel, you're going to definitely run into limitations. And there's only so much speed you can get on the chipset on there. So you're at I think that all uses WireGuard, you're at the limit of that processor and what it can process. Do you have a recommendation on Proxmox VM snapshots? Apparently, you can't schedule retention policies with GUI snapshots. Nope, I don't do it, so I don't use Proxmox enough, so I don't know. I have not worked with InfiniBand. If you run Linux server Nextcloud container, updating the Docker image, but I'm trying out official Nextcloud in my VM. All right. Does UniFi have a concept of gateway groups? Not exactly. It works a little. It just works different. Maybe I probably should do a gateway video on it because they've changed a lot of it. Yes. So if you looked at it from the firewall rules and you looked at it as zones, yes, it's very similar, but it doesn't group them together, and it has a completely different weighting system that does act as a group for like how you load balance them. Yeah, Calibri is probably the best thing out there for it. He does reply to his emails. Yeah, people have. I spend a lot of time in emails. One of the reasons I carry a MacBook with me, the MacBook Air, when I travel, is I don't like replying to emails from my phone because it feels tedious. I don't like typing, so sometimes I'm wordy, but I do reply to a lot of people. Sometimes I'm just like, thanks, because if it doesn't, I'll at least acknowledge that you sent me an email. Because there's no questioning. Sometimes people just send me stuff, and I'll at least let them know I did receive it and thank you, and I've read this. Oh, that's awesome. Using all open source. Fantastic. I will be, because I have some data analytics stuff. So, but as of right now, I was, and I set that project aside. Now I can get back to that project. Do you back up your SharePoint? We do it with Veeam. So all of our backups are Veeam. But I'm gonna wander downstairs before my voice runs out. My friends just all arrived at the hotel, so I'm gonna go say hi to them and whatnot. But you're my friends too. But I'm here and they're here. They traveled far, and we're gonna go do that because I'm gonna crash pretty soon and go to sleep because it is. Yeah, they're all waiting down there. Hey, they're all watching my live stream. But thank you for all of you that were here on the live stream. So, but please send me feedback, vlogthursday@lawrencesystems.com. Reach out. Just say hi if you want. I don't mind. I like engaging with all of you. Jump in the forums you can feel free just to look in the forums. You'll see there's a lot of good discussions in there with a lot of other people. I keep it to the topics that you want. I just helped someone that couldn't figure out a gateway problem with their UniFi. So absolutely. No, just my wife commenting. These drinks aren't drinking themselves. All right, my friends are all coming to. I got drinks ready. I gotta go. All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye.